Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of NIO Automotive, ticker symbol NIO. And so here I am recording this on Thursday, December 26th, after the market has closed, and NIO closed at a price of $4.69, being up about 1.5% on the day. And so that's actually why I wanted to talk about the stock, not because it closed at 469, but because it closed above a specific level that I think is pretty important, and I think it does signal that NIO could be going higher. However, because we did have this pretty big wick to the upside today, closing lower, that inverted hammer candle could be suggesting that we will be seeing a little bit of a pullback, perhaps retesting 450 or this uptrend. But overall, I think that NIO is looking really good, and that's partly because of the close here today, but that's also because of the expected Chinese stimulus coming in 2025, which I will go over towards the end of the video. But first, I wanted to go over the chart here. And so the reason why 469 stands out to me, it actually could have been a lower level, but considering the close from the 24th, or actually, sorry, the high from the 24th, which was at a price of 468, that was, the highest high that we had put in during this consolidation. And so we were able to get wicks above, but then not close above. And so over here on December 17th, we hit a high of 462. And then on the 20th, we hit a high of 461. And so the close on Tuesday, the 24th, was at 462. So at this high, not above it. And so that kind of put me on the fence a little bit. I was hoping we were going to be closing above 462, and that could be suggesting kind of confirmation that this is going to start going higher. But, on Tuesday, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, we did not see that. We saw a close at that level, having hit a high of 468, but closing at 462. And so I was just looking for a close above these highs, and that is exactly what we got today on Thursday. So I think that is great. And just looking over at the chart here, I had talked about $4.50 a number of times in the past. That was the 786 from this retracement, going from the lows over here to the highs. And that was around the time that China had previously released some stimulus, some monetary stimulus, and a lot of stocks, not only NIO, also Alibaba, Baidu, other stocks like that, started to move higher. And NIO hit a high of, it looks like, $7.71. And so I think that when China starts to release some more stimulus, which I believe should be in the first half of 2025, I do think that NIO could be taking off, but from a higher low. So I think NIO could be hitting $8 a share. But then there are some other, levels that I wanted to talk about. If we do come back to the downside, maybe find 450 as support. Also, maybe this uptrend. I'll take a step back, show you how I drew that in just a second. But yeah, that would be right around $4.50. And the low that we hit on December 18th was $4.28. That's actually a level that I wanted to talk about. Ideally, we don't want to be putting in any closes or lows lower than 428. We want to be putting in higher lows. But following, this test of 428 on November 27th, as you can see right there, that was at 428. We then bounced, moved up, got rejected from this purple line, and then it came back down, hit this low of 428, forming a double bottom here. So that could be suggesting that the bottom is in. but it is also quite possible, like I said, that we pull back to around 450, maybe go lower, maybe even break lower than 428 with a wick lower, because maybe some people have stop losses here, just to shake them out of their positions, wicking lower than that, but then closing above. That could be a very nice dip buying bottom signal. So yeah, I mean, I would look for that if it does start to pull back, which I suspect it will because of this big wick here. So do keep that in mind. And let's see. Just taking a step further back here, wanted to go over some other levels here, just so we've got them on our radar. And so this thinner purple line, I believe I went over it in the last video. That is where we got rejected from. So it is quite possible that level that would be right around $5 a share, or maybe $5.20, that could be acting as some resistance. So keep that in mind. And that does go back to, let's see, the highs over here from February 16th of 2024, that being the originating pivot point. And the other pivot point being the high from May, which was on May 15th. And so I do just want to zoom in here. So I'd go over this trend line here, this uptrending line. Sorry, I'm all over the place a little bit. Been at work all day, but I did want to cover NIO because, I really do believe in it. I am excited about it. But so yeah, this is just a trend line. So, based on the pivot point over here, the low of 362 hit on August 8th. Did get a close below it here, but it does look like the pivot low from August 29th bounced from that level as I have drawn it, and I just stretched it out to over here, looking like we got a bounce from that level when we hit that low of 428. And, did get kind of a fake out break below it over here, but now we are trading above that level. So, that's kind of, the casual way of drawing that line, as I don't have two specific pivot points. I just got the one over here and then just drag that line out there. But yeah, so I think that could be some very, very nice dip buying opportunities. I do have this level here at $7 a share, that green line, and that looks like it is based on the low from June 1st of 2023. That was at exactly $7 a share. So kind of interesting that it hit that exact dollar level, and that did act as support over here before breaking out a little bit, but then ultimately breaking down. We did get a rejection here from $7 a share when we broke higher up to $7.71, opening on that day of September 30th at a price of $7.70, going up 1 penny above that, the high of $7.71, but then closing much lower. As you can see, got a big rejection from that thicker purple downtrend. And so that is based on really, where this gap was formed over here and then the pivot high over here. And so that goes back to the middle of September 2023, where I draw that line. And this looks like it's the highs from December of 2023. And one of the things that I find really compelling about this thick purple line is that this could be a left inverse shoulder here. We might have a head over here, and we might be at the base or, the top of this inverse right shoulder. We get back up to that neckline. We could see a very nice move to the upside. And so one of the ways that we can get an idea of how high price could be going is just by taking a measurement straight up from the base of that head, going to the neckline, and then moving that over to wherever we might break. And that could actually be bringing price up to around $12 a share based on that measurement. So, I think that looks pretty exciting there. Another way that we can get an idea of where price could be going is by doing a Fibonacci extension, going from this low of 361 up to this high of 771 that we recently hit, and then pulling back to the recent lows of about 428. Let's see if I can get it lined up there. And so from that, we can see this 100% move. That would be basically the same distance over here. That could be bringing us up to right around $8 a share here at 820. But we may also go further than that. Like the 1618 here at 1062 kind of matches up with that measurement, getting up to around 12. or maybe the 2618 at 1450, but I think that that's going to be getting further into the year. I think a realistic price target, at least moving towards $8 a share by June, that is what I am hoping for. That is what I am expecting. But I, of course, could be wrong. And that really comes from this understanding that, China recently released some stimulus that caused their stocks to go a lot higher. And here we can see that that move represented about 100% move to the upside. And so I think that we could be seeing some pretty massive rallies with NIO, as well as with Alibaba, other Chinese stocks, whenever China does decide to release more stimulus. And to explore that, I'm actually going to pull up this search that I did with Grok. So I just asked Grok, is China planning to release more stimulus, and when is that expected? So I'm just going to read this to you guys, just some of the bullet points so we can get an idea of when that might be, and I suspect that would be in the first half of 2025. And so Grok responds to this question: China has indeed signaled intentions to implement further economic stimulus measures. Recent announcements and actions indicate that the Chinese government is planning to increase fiscal stimulus in 2025. And so one of the ways that they would do that, is with fiscal policy. Another way is with monetary policy, and I'll actually come back to that in just a minute. Then there's also economic stimulus package and timing. This is actually, what I wanted to talk about. And so the specific dates for the implementation of these measures, especially the fiscal stimulus, are not explicitly detailed in the sources, but there is a general expectation that these will roll out in 2025. However, there's mention that such stimulus might take a minimum of 2 to 3 months to take effect, suggesting that announcements made before long holidays might be strategic for detailing funding sources. And so, all I have to say about this is this 2 to 3 months to take effect. What we saw with the rise of NIO and stuff in the past, Alibaba in the past, is that once that announcement was made, we kind of saw that priced in with the stocks. And so I think that this 2 to 3 month lag, I don't think that we necessarily have to wait for that. I think that we have to just wait for the announcement. And so because of that, I suspect that this will be happening in the first half of 2025. So, I feel really good about that. And then also, I wanted to go over the current measures here because it does bring up what they did earlier in 2024. China had already introduced monetary stimulus packages, including cuts to mortgage rates and reserve requirements, indicating a continuous effort to stimulate the economy, with fiscal measures expected to follow. And so this makes me feel that because they have already introduced monetary stimulus, that we could be seeing that again. But this could also just be fiscal stimulus, so perhaps I should go over that above. But just in summary, I want to go over Grok's summary of this. It's that China is planning to release more stimulus, with fiscal measures to be more prominent in 2025, although exact timing within the year remains unspecified based on current information. And so I should probably go over not only the monetary stimulus, because they might do that again, and that would kind of reproduce what we saw in the past as far as the stock price goes. At least that's my understanding of it. But they may also do some fiscal measures, so we should probably read about that as well. And so the monetary policy, since they had already done that, there have been indications of potential significant rate cuts in China, which could be part of the broader stimulus strategy. Bloomberg recorded that China might deliver the biggest rate cut in a decade in 2025. And so that would be, an amplification of what we saw earlier this year when the NIO stock price rallied, along with Alibaba and all the other Chinese stocks. And so I also should probably go over the fiscal policy because that does seem like it might be the next step after the monetary policy stimulus. And so here for fiscal policy, at a top agenda setting meeting, China signaled plans for a more proactive fiscal policy, which includes raising the fiscal deficit ratio. This move is aimed at boosting growth with details around increasing the issuance and usage of local government special bonds and issuing ultra-long special sovereign bonds. And so, I have to say, I am not an economist, so a lot of this goes over my head, as I'm sure it does for you as well. But if you're an economist, let me know in the comments if you got some feedback on this. But what I take from this is that what we saw in the stock price earlier this year, so going back to August, going up over 100%, I think that we're going to be seeing that again. And if the stimulus is going to be even more aggressive in 2025 than it was in 2024, I think that we could be really seeing not only a move up to this thick purple downtrend to form that inverse head and shoulders, but I think we could actually see that measured move play out and price get up to around $12 a share. But, I don't know that $12 will be hit in the first half of next year. I do feel like $8, or at least getting pretty close to it, may be happening, or I suspect it will be happening before June of 2025. But these things always take longer than we expect, so I think it's good to plan for that. But yeah, I feel like 2025 could be delivering a price of, above $7 a share here, breaking above this downtrend, getting up to around $8 a share, getting into the double digits above 10, possibly to $12 a share. So, I am really excited about that, and I hope you guys are too. But, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, you guys.